guys, welcome back to this place, and if you are new, then welcome here for the very first time. I am Carmen, and today we are going to be talking about season 2 of Westworld. This is the Q&A, which it already says in the title, so you already know that, but yeah, we're just going to be talking about your questions that you asked me and my thoughts and opinions on Westworld season 2, which I thought was amazing. Honestly, I really loved it as a continuation of season 1, as a way to get to know these characters better and to see them in a new and different light. So yeah, I am very hyped going into season 3 after season 2. I have already seen the first 2 episodes of season 3, so some of you asked some questions about what I think is going to happen in season 3, and since I kind of already know a little bit about it, I will say what I think is going to happen after that, I guess, because yeah, I couldn't wait, you know? Like, it's too good. You saw the way season 2 ended, y'all. Like, I had to start season 3. Come on. Okay, so enough rambling. Let's get into the questions. And as always, the question will appear right here on the screen. I wrote them down on this notepad, so it's not verbatim, but like I said, the question will appear verbatim on the screen. So if you want to see it exactly as it was worded, you will. Okay, so the first question was from Counting TLS, and he asked, where do I think season 3 is going? And there was another question by Austin Weeble, I think, that asked me basically what I think is going to happen in season 3. And again, like I said, I have seen the first 2 episodes, so I know at least the beginning of season 3, and it both is and isn't what I thought it was going to be. I didn't think that we were going to spend quite so much time in our world, I guess you could say. And I honestly really love that aspect of it. After the way season 2 ended, it kind of had to go that way, and I'm really interested in where it's going. So yeah, I don't really know how to answer season 3 questions, just because, as I said, I've seen the first 2 episodes, and so my thoughts are now sort of influenced by what I have seen so far. So I feel it's kind of unfair to say when I have prior knowledge of, you know, how season 3 has started so far, to inject my opinion into it. But I do think that we're gonna get a lot. I really hope, because we haven't seen that much from the park. We saw in, you know, kind of spoilers for season 3, so I don't want to spoil anything in season 3. But I will say that I hope that we see more of the park in season 3, because I really would like to see what happened to all of the characters that were sort of left behind in that situation. So, without saying anything that spoils season 3, just in case anybody's watching along with me and you're watching this Q&A before you start season 3, I want to make sure that y'all aren't spoiled. So, all right, again, with the next question by Counting TLS was, knowing Dolores is out, what do I imagine that her goal is going to be in the outside world? And again, I have seen the first 2 episodes of season 3, and they kind of a little bit let us know what her goal in the outside world is, so I kind of can't answer that because I know, but I think that I would have said after season 2, prior to seeing season 3, that I would have imagined Dolores's goal in the outside world would have been to create a world that would be safe for the hosts and perhaps unsafe for humans, because, you know, that's her goal. I think that she has a very not positive outlook on humans based on her experiences with them, which you really can't blame her for. And I think that she has a much more positive experience and view of hosts because of that. So a world where hosts can exist and humans can not exist, maybe. You know, of course, I would have a different answer now, or maybe not a super different answer, but slightly more informed answer. But again, no spoilers. All right, and the last question by Counting TLS is that there's lots of characters that leave us in season 2. Would I expect new characters going forward, or would I want to have these characters back in season 3? And I would say that it's a mix of both. I knew that Aaron Paul was cast in season 3 before I started season 3, so I was expecting his character. And I will say that I kind of thought he might be like a flashback version of Ford when he was younger, which, if you've seen season 3, like, let's just say that theory did not pan out. But yeah, so I kind of expected new characters going in. Again, with the way that the last season ended, you kind of have to expect new characters because there's a whole new world that is being approached, our world. And so there's going to be new characters that are going to be introduced into that, right? Because you have to fill them in, yeah? So yes, I was expecting new characters, but do I also want characters that we know and love to come back? Yes, obviously. All of the characters that are dead, that are hosts, I want to come back and be alive, you know. I have wanted justice for Clementine this whole freaking time. Like, my girl Clem, can we just stop using her for all this fucking shit? Like, it's just messed up, right? And so I want that. I want Maeve to be free. I want her to be with her daughter if she can be. I don't know if that's possible, but I want her to be free of Westworld no matter what. I want Hector to be free. I want to see Bernard. I want to see Stubbs. I want to see, you know, just Teddy. I want to see Aki if we can. Like, I want to see these characters that I've come to know and love. And so, do I want them to return in season 2 or season 3? Yeah, of course I do. Like, will I see them? I know the answer for the first 2 episodes, you know, but yes, I want to see them, essentially. All right, the next question is by Tristan Rose, and it is, Charlotte smuggles out 5 pearls from the park when she leaves. We know one of them is Bernard. Who do you think the other 4 are? And who do you think is in Charlotte's host now? I'm assuming now means the end of season 2 when we see Charlotte and Dolores and Bernard all together. And it's very interesting. So I was wondering that when we saw her, like when she opens her purse and looks into it and you see that there's 5 of them. Obviously one of them is Bernard, like, you know, like we said. And I think that one of them is, and I could be wrong, but I assumed that one of them was the utopia that she sent all the host's consciousness to, so it's a bunch of people. And who would the other 3 be, though? Like, Teddy, but he should be with the other hosts. Peter Abernathy, perhaps, because could be Ford, could be the Man in Black, could be, yeah, I don't know, honestly. I think that's a really good question, and I hadn't thought about it too much, so yeah. I'm hoping that we find out, but I guess those random guesses were my guesses. Like, I don't know. Also, who's in Charlotte Hale now is a good question, because I kind of just thought that, assuming that she left the park as Dolores, and then she built Dolores, I kind of assumed that Dolores could just recreate herself as, like, you know, once she was Dolores again, as Evan Rachel Wood Dolores, then she was also still Charlotte Hale, if that makes sense. Like, she just made another Dolores, but I never thought of the possibility that she was a different Pearl from the things. So That is really interesting. It would be kind of funny if it was Ford, you know? Like, I'm not gonna count on it, although I would love for Anthony Michael Hall to return somehow. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I don't know who Charlotte Hale is, and I don't know who the other pearls are. But I'm very intrigued by that. The next question by Tristan Rose was, Ford told William this game is for him. How do you think he did in Ford's game, and do you think Ford is in any way responsible for some of William's actions, like William killing his daughter? Okay, so this question is multifaceted. I don't know. I have lots of thoughts about this, right? So one, how do I think William did in Ford's game? I think that he did good by Ford's standards in that Ford wanted William to look at himself in the mirror, really look and see the kind of person he was and be upset by that and then strive to change that, right? So he accomplished that, right? William, when he saw his, his profile, right? When he saw his profile, which is just a mirror being held back up to him, and who he is being reflected back to him, right? When he saw that, he was determined to prove Ford wrong. Just completely like narrow-minded focus, not narrow-minded, but like single-minded focus to prove that Ford was wrong in this profile of him. So I think that that's what Ford wanted. I think he wanted William to have to be confronted with himself and to not like what he saw, to realize how messed up he had become and what he was doing and the consequences of his actions and all that stuff, right? So I do think in a way, well, I guess it determines on how you consider or what you consider like winning Ford's game would be, right? Is it proving Ford wrong? Is it proving Ford right? Is it abstaining from the game in the first place? You know what I mean? Like it's very subjective, but I think in that what Ford wanted him to do, I think he did. The second part of that question is, do I think that Ford is in any way responsible for William's actions? And here's the thing, guys. It's like, it's not Ford's fault what William chose to do. Yeah, you know, he gave him information. He held a mirror back up to William, and William saw who he was, and he didn't like that, and so he wanted to prove that wrong. Are the actions that he took then Ford's fault because he didn't like what he saw when he was confronted with himself? Like, I don't think so. Like, is Ford in some way responsible? Like, it's tricky, right? I don't think he's responsible. I don't think that he's responsible in that he's at fault. I think that he contributed to the things that William did, like killing his daughter, because in William's head, that was part of Ford's game, right? But then is that Ford's fault? No, I don't think so. I don't like to blame people for choices that other people make, if that makes sense. Like, Ford shouldn't be held responsible for choices that William made, even if his choices were influenced by what he thought Ford was doing. Does that make sense? And Tristan Rose's last question is, now that we've seen 2 of the other 5 parks, do you have any guesses on what the other 3 are, aside from Westworld? Out of the 3 we know, which would you most like to visit? So we saw Westworld, we saw The Raj, and we saw Shogun World, right? That's what y'all have told me they're called. I honestly don't have a guess as to what the others are. Like, maybe there's like a tropical one, Antarctic one. You know, I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna find out. I thought there was 5 parks, but there's 6. Like, again, I'm confused. But yeah, I don't really have guesses for that. But out of the three we know, which would I most like to visit is an interesting question, because they all cater to the exploitation of hosts, right? They all cater to like the exploitation of these characters that we've grown to know and love. So knowing that, I probably wouldn't want to visit any of them, especially because I believe that the hosts do have sentience. Obviously, I believed that from the first season, which now we know that, you know, they do. But knowing that, I would not want to contribute in any way to their imprisonment, their, you know, the horrific treatment of them, the fact that they don't really have a choice in anything that they're doing, you know. I wouldn't want to be a part of that, so I wouldn't want to visit any of the worlds. Now, if you're asking, like, which of the world's characters would I most want to meet, and it would be Dolores and Maeve, so Westworld, you know, like, and Hector and Teddy and Clementine and lots of those characters, so probably Westworld. But again, I would not want to contribute to these people being used in any way, or these hosts being used in any way, so none of them. The next question is by White Owl Massacre, and they asked if I could smuggle one pearl out of the park, whose would it be? And I think by now y'all know my two favorite characters in this show are Maeve and Dolores. So yeah, Maeve and Dolores, you know, like, yeah. I don't have like a super thorough explanation for that. I just adore both of them so much, and like would just like to have a conversation with them. It would be a very weird, interesting conversation, especially with both of them, but I would be okay with it. I'd be down for it, you know? All right, guys, and the last question, I don't know why I always do this. I need to stop. Anyway, the last question is, what are my favorite moments of season 2? And there's a lot of really cool moments in season 2. Like, I think I really loved all of the character development that we got in season 2 about each of the characters. We learned so much about Maeve. We learned so much about Dolores. We got some really like shocking moments with Maeve and Akani, was that her name? I can't remember, but like those moments were great. Maeve in Shogun World was awesome. Just seeing Dolores's evolution throughout this season was great. I loved seeing her with Peter Abernathy. I loved seeing her with Teddy. I just loved seeing her kind of coming into her own more, even though I didn't necessarily agree with the choices that Dolores was making. I understood where she was coming from and why she was making those choices, and I liked to see the evolution of her character. I loved the episode that was about the Man in Black. I loved the episode that was about Aki and Koa and the Ghost Nation. I just loved how much this season really let us into who these characters are and really explored who the characters are, and didn't let us rest on how we felt about them. You know what I mean? Like, the characters were constantly changing and evolving and growing. Like, even Sizemore, you know, who I hated. Y'all know. I hated Sizemore. And I mean, he's still not like top 5 faves or anything like that, but I was really sad to see him die, because we saw a character arc, we saw a character evolution with him, and it was really well done, and I loved seeing that, you know? I loved seeing Teddy and him fighting against who he was, and then who Dolores made him, and then finding his way back to who he was originally. I loved all of Bernard's stuff. I loved Ford. I loved the little bit of Logan that we would get. I loved learning about that. I loved learning about the Man in Black's daughter and his wife, and even James Delos, even though he's a horrible person. It was just really fascinating to get such a season full of introspection and character development and arcs and all of that. I know you probably wanted more like individual moments, but there was a lot of shocking moments, and you know, if you saw my reaction to the most shocking ones. But what I really loved about this season, and what I think I remember the most, is just what it did for the characters, and I really, really liked it. I really liked what it did for the characters. It was great. It was great, and I can't wait to see what season 3 does for them and where it takes them and all of that. Yeah. So I hope that y'all will stick around with me as I journey through the last season of Westworld that is currently aired. Thank God it's not the last season of Westworld, because I need more than just 6 more episodes, you know? Yeah. Thank you so much to everyone who sent in questions. I hope that I somewhat answered them in a satisfactory way. I hope that this was at least a little bit entertaining and that you didn't click off after like 5 minutes of being bored as fuck. I really appreciate all of you for watching. Thank you so much, and thank you for sending in questions again. Y'all are awesome. I cannot wait to see you in season 3. I think you're going to be very happy with my shock and awe at what has occurred so far. Yeah. Until next time. Bye, guys.